Recording.
All right. Hello, I'm Chelsea King Martin,
And I'm Kristen Amundsen Spear.
and we're here with Raina Hassan to talk about alchemizing divorce. And so we'll just introduce ourselves and then introduce the topic that we're exploring today. So I am in my first year of divorce, and that divorce came after a 16-year marriage.
And I am 8 years post-divorce of also a 16-year marriage. How about you, Raina?
I am 15 years post-divorce from a 2.5-year marriage.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us today, Raina. You, as a licensed professional counselor here in the Portland area, had a unique background in the sense that you've gone through the divorce process, and you also, in your counseling practice, one of the things you help clients work on is this divorce process. And that's some of the reasons why we invited you to attend our workshop the first time Kristen and I offered it this past spring, Alchemizing Divorce, as attending as our angel, someone to hold space for, be present with the participants in a way, to observe if they had needed additional support. So you had this unique role of being a participant and serving in this, function as an LPC and an angel.
Mm-hmm.
So we're here to talk about what are some of those reasons that people stay in suffering post-divorce, and what is it about coming together in ritual and connection that helps people move through that suffering and kind of get rid of the suffering, get to the other end of that suffering.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that'll be our topic today.
And so, Raina, I'm wondering, what are those things that keep people suffering post-divorce?
Yeah, I love this question, and I really feel this could be an ongoing conversation and so much to say. So to start it off, I would say, in my personal experience and in my professional experience working with people who are at all stages of divorce, but certainly if we're focusing on post-divorce, I see a lot of shame that keeps people stuck. And I would say the underlying belief there is that this is my fault and this is not accepted.
Mm.
I also see resentment that keeps people really, really stuck in kind of in that blame game. And so the underlying belief there, I think, is, this is your fault. This is the other person's fault. And I also see fear that keeps people stuck, after divorce. Fear about, things will not be okay. How can I rebuild my life? Fear of loss of community. Once the dissolution of the marriage happens, then people can often lose other people who are connected through the spouse. So, and economic fear as well, I think, really comes up for people all throughout the divorce process, and certainly after, as they're kind of gaining stability again and resettling. And then doubt. I see doubt comes up a lot all throughout the divorce process, and definitely after, and thinking back, and should I have trusted myself? Was it the right decision? Was it the wrong decision? And really just a doubting in the process, doubting in trusting self to guide one's life.
Ooh, those are big.
Yeah.
I think yes.
Yeah. Same here. All four.
That's so interesting.
Is there one that resonates with you, Kristen?
I think the one that's coming up now, when I think back in those times, fear was a huge one, and the fear of economics was, the stability was a huge one for me.
Mm-hmm.
I was, we had 2 incomes, and he sort of did all the money stuff, because I hated it and I didn't want to. And so I had no idea what was going to happen with me, where I was at. He was also deeply tied to my business. And so I had no idea how I was going to do that either. So there was a lot of fear for the future of what, how it was even going to unfold, what I was going to possibly do. So fear was my definite real companion for those first couple of years, maybe. Yeah. How about you, Chelsea?
Definitely the word doubt sticks with me. There was throughout the process, and even still, I mean, I'm newly divorced, but doubt is a big component of my process, like wondering, should I have done something different? Should I have worked harder? Was I wrong? Will I ever be able to XYZ again in the future? And just those, it's coming in and out of it. Sometimes I feel very like I have clarity, and other times I don't. I have doubt.
And how
How about you, Raina?
My turn.
We want to hear from you, Raina.
Yeah, I say with some humility, I really struggled with resentment. Yeah, I would get caught in loops of resentful thinking and, kind of convincing myself about this, of this story, that if you had only, and, really that underlying belief that it was his fault, and that, if he could have stepped up, if he could have done this, done that, then maybe we could have made it work. And so I would say resentment was my buddy through the process, and definitely for a long time afterward. Really, I will say I definitely felt stuck in resentment for many years after.
It's so interesting too when I think about the process of divorce and being in those emotional states or those emotional blocks. You're in it by yourself. It's you and your companion fear, or you and your companion doubt, or you and your companion resentment. And there's not really a lot of like, how do you get out of that? Like, even with friends, if I was in fear, they would try to comfort me, but they didn't know either. They want, I think friends want to support, but there's don't really know how to work through that, aside from, of course, therapy and counseling, which was certainly supportive, but a slow road, it felt like. Yeah.
Something that comes up for me too when I think about that idea of counseling or friends, both of which played a very important role in supporting me through my divorce process and continue to post-divorce, is that sometimes I think I got stuck in the story. I could repeat over and over my doubts, my fears, and I almost like hardwired neural pathways. Like, let me just make this companion like very well entrenched into my vocabulary and my brain, which I think that was some of the motivation with the Alchemizing Divorce workshop, is that we weren't going to spend a lot of time in story and talking about it. We were going to do, and we did, ritual. And we did this in community. And so I think one of the questions that we're really exploring today as well, I mean, we all know the fear and the doubt. What's less known is, what is it about coming together and performing ritual in community that helped alchemize, like transform this fear and this doubt into something new, which was basically like, transformation or integration really of that experience. Like, what is it about that? Why does that work? So I'm curious, for you, Raina, as a participant in this, dual role, what did you observe?
Yeah, I really observed it as a really a transformational experience and a transcendent experience. And I believe all the ingredients were there. And one really big key ingredient, I think, for any kind of transformational ritual, and certainly that I saw in the workshop, was creating a safe container. Mm-hmm. And that I think, we can do that in therapy, we can do that with friends. And I as well benefited from friends and therapy when I went through my divorce and afterwards as well. But I also didn't have the community aspect of it. And so there's something that happens, and it's magical, it's hard to put into words, but when a group of people come together and they have this intention, setting this healing intention, creating this space together, creating a safe container around it, and then just really dropping into that space, there's a real kind of, there's like a safety and a raw expression happening at the same time. Mm-hmm. Some of it's verbal, some of it's nonverbal, and people supporting each other, witnessing each other's pain, witnessing each other's narratives and experiences and hopes for the future. And it really was transformational. I saw the participants physically, they looked different. Their faces were brighter afterwards and kind of glowy, and people were hugging each other and exchanging contact info. And it was really beautiful to see. And it really was alchemy. And so, yeah, I just think there's something about coming together as a group. There's some kind of energy that gets created. And when it's contained in a safe, helpful way, then there is this sort of alchemical magic that can happen where we take something like shame, resentment, fear, doubt, and we turn it into other things. We make it fertile ground for what's next for us.
Yeah, thank you. It was a wonderful experience, and I definitely, had a lot of unexpected transformation happen, even being pretty removed from the process of divorce after 8 years and being remarried. It really helped to bring just that fertile ground, like you said, that next level, to be there to share my own experience and where I was at, my own experience of divorce and what happened, and to be in a community of other people who also had this common thread. It was just, I think, one of the most amazing experiences, and something I think when you were speaking and I was back there, I was remembering just giving ourselves the time to commit to the time to do this.
Yeah.
To be in community with people who have shared this experience and just be together, which was magical.
It was. Yeah, it really was an honor to be there. And I think it was important that it was a full day, to create that kind of transformation, takes time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I really appreciated what you said about first creating that safe space, and then from that container allowing that raw emotional expression. And I think those are things that, speaking just for myself instead of projecting into our culture or something, that my really raw emotional expression happens alone. I don't usually let people see that. They may, if they're very trusted, see some pretty strong expressions of emotion, but my wailing is solo. My raging is solo. My deep meditative contemplation is solo. And so to come together and to just touch that a little bit in space with others who were also touching theirs, there was something very healing about that. It takes away that isolation that divorce can bring, because I lost my main companion. I lost extended family. And then I'm carrying doubt and shame and fear. And that can be very isolating. And so just having this experience, you know, in community was, I could do it alone, but it was different to do it with you all.
Mm.
Mm.
Shining that light
Mm-hmm.
on those raw, difficult emotions, I think kind of airs them out a little bit, or shrinks them, or makes them slightly smaller, or something happens. They alchemize
Yeah.
to something a little more bite-sized.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's something about the collective group energy that I think helps with that, you know, and again, like verbal and nonverbal, I think, you know, but as people are sharing their stories, then seeing connections and people are laughing and crying and you know, seeing that they're not alone, feeling that they're not alone. Yeah. And even though I was, you know, 15 years out from my divorce, it still felt, even though the emotion from the loss of the divorce didn't feel very present in my life on a day-to-day basis going into the workshop, but there still was something that got, you know, alchemized and healed through it. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Well, I would say we could probably just recommend that if this sounds interesting to people, if you're watching this and you're someone who has gone through a divorce recently or years ago, and you would like to honor that loss and transform some of these emotions that stick with us, and alchemize them into something new. We will offer the workshop again on September 8th, which is a Sunday. It will be a full day, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. And we have a website, alchemizingdivorce.com, that you could go to register. Kristen and I will both be there. Raina has been invited pending some birthday celebrations.
Hopefully I can be there.
Yeah. So I think just closing with Raina, if you'd like to offer, I don't know, is it advice okay? If you were to offer someone who's watching this and they're feeling these things, what would be something you would tell them?
Yeah, I love your question. Is advice okay? Because I think what you're getting at is, as therapists, as counselors, we don't really give advice, but we make suggestions. So, or encourage, right? We encourage too. So yeah, I would say if anyone who's watching this video is feeling any of those emotions that we named, or any big emotion through their divorce, after their divorce, I guess the word connection comes up for me. So connect either within yourself, do some kind of deep connection practice where you really let yourself feel it fully. And maybe journaling about it is good. Connect with a friend, someone you can really trust, who can understand what you're going through, so you can talk or just be with that person. Connect in a group setting, maybe this workshop, maybe a divorce group. Just connect, and so that you know you're not alone. And many of us have gone through divorce, and each experience is unique, and yet we can prop each other up and support each other as we go through it.
Kristen, would you like to close with something that you would like to share with someone if they're watching this and wondering how they get through suffering?
Yeah, you know, I obviously everything that Raina said, so good. I did a lot of body practice too, dancing in a group as well, ecstatic dance. My meditation and spiritual practice came out of the divorce time. Divorce group was amazing. Again, that group, that connection, those people who know. They, you know, deep feelings obviously expressed in that safe setting. Wow. And like you, Raina, the Alchemizing Divorce workshop, even though I was 8 years out, still things came up. It was that I didn't necessarily know. Again, in my day-to-day life, like you said, just weren't there. So I think there are many ways in connection certainly was the most important for me in going through the process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How about you, Chelsea?
Oh, thank you for asking. I think one thing that comes up for me when I was listening to you is just, you know, the antidote to my doubt was trust. And so, and I still have to practice this, just trusting that things happened the way they're meant to be, that my husband is exactly the way he's supposed to be, that I'm exactly the way I'm supposed to be, and just trusting that things, that there's, I don't know, a grander scheme, a bigger plan, that there's some cosmos, some divine, it's bigger than me. I'm just one tiny little thing and I'm just a part of something bigger than me. And just trusting that things are exactly the way they're supposed to be helps me get out of doubt and the personal flogging that I can engage in when I'm, you know, in my suffering, and just extending that. So I think trust.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, I hope to see all of you there on September 8th. We're hosting this workshop at Soma Space again, which is a beautiful space. We'll have lots of movement and ritual. And come alchemize your divorce with us. Yeah. Thank you, Kristen and Raina.
Thank you, Chelsea.
My honor. Thank you.
Okay.